raw, honest, passionate, inspiring, and a whole lot of fun. Welcome to Passion Warrior TV, where we talk with inspiring people who have gone from mess to success, from surviving to thriving, from tragedy to triumph, and who are now living lives of passion and purpose. I am your host, Dallas Michael Sear, delivering to you real interviews with real people, sharing real life stories and real life wisdom. And our mission here at Passion Warrior TV is to help you ignite your passions, live your purpose, and love your life. Let's go. Welcome to episode number 7, Passion Warrior TV. And you know, we've gotten some folks who are asking, well, what's Passion Warrior? What the heck is it? Well, it's a personal development brand, and under that personal development brand, you have me, you have Passion Warrior Coaching, and specifically Passion Warrior Coaching is all about helping people to ignite their passions. I believe that if you are living your passions, whatever they may be, I don't care if it's flying kites, right? I mean, Ben Franklin discovered electricity. He's just flying a kite. So whatever your passion is, go live it, inspiring people to live their purpose, love their life. Ignite your passion, live your purpose, love your life. So if that inspires you, if that's something that interests you, you are in the right place. And really, Passion Warrior Coaching as a whole has evolved over a decade of time. Personally, it seems like a lifetime ago, I was a financial advisor for almost 7 years. And in working with my clients, I really thought that I had found the thing. And that's because I was attuned to what gratified me about, the gratification that I got from working one-on-one with people and really getting to know their story and getting to connect with them. There were many aspects of what I did as a financial planner that lit me up, that really felt like it was it, because there were certain passions that it did serve. But on a whole, I recognized after about 5 years in business that it just wasn't what was right for me. And that led to a depression, a spiraling down into a very dark place. And I became emotionally bankrupt and financially bankrupt. And finally, I hired a life coach. And 10 years ago on the East Coast in Connecticut, I didn't know what the hell a life coach was. Most people didn't. And but it became one of the most pivotal times in my life, very transformational. This woman changed my life. And it became clear what my work was in the world and what I was meant to do. And here we are. Over 6 years later, coaching, building an online TV show, and building a community and a tribe. So Passion Warrior Coaching, what we do is we help people to balance the being and the doing. There's so often I've met people who are really good at doing amazing stuff, but they're really being shitty people. Then I've met other people who are really great at being wonderful, but they're not really doing shit. And so helping you to balance the right brain and the left brain, the creative, the analytical, the masculine, the feminine, the being, and the doing. It's one of the foundational principles of Passion Warrior Coaching. And really, what I do is I work with people who are just stuck. So if stuck, if frustrated, if confused, if those are words you use on a regular basis, if you're going through a major life transition and your life has lost its zest, if you feel like you're stuck in the movie Groundhog Day and you're Bill Murray and every day is the freaking same from one day to the next, let's talk. So that's Passion Warrior Coaching. Basically, it's helping people who are living lives of quiet desperation to wake up, to turn on, and to go live a powerful, purposeful life. So hopefully this show, this episode, and all the episodes do that for you. My job is to deliver content, tools, resources, community, and amazing people that we're interviewing in order for you to go live a powerful life. So the inspiring gentleman that we'll be interviewing today that you're going to see in a moment is John Lee Dumas, and this dude is killing it when it comes to podcasts. He's a wonderful, actually a really good, down-to-earth just guy, too. He's just a good dude. John Lee Dumas is the founder and host of Entrepreneur on Fire, EO Fire, an award-winning podcast with today's most inspiring entrepreneurs, and it's 7 days a week. The man is a beast. So JLD, John Lee Dumas, has produced over 1,000 episodes at this point of Entrepreneur on Fire. And the show itself, the podcast, generates over $300,000 a month in revenue. He's doing all right. So he's figured out a few things, and with over 1 million unique visitors and listeners per month, he's inspired Fire Nation to take control of their life and to take the entrepreneurial leap. So if that inspires you, then you're going to want to watch this interview. So check it out. John Lee Dumas.
Questions lined up. Cool. I am on with John Lee Dumas. I am so excited. What's up, brother?
I'm just hanging, man. Dallas, I am
Yeah.
excited to be here. I'm
Yeah.
prepared to ignite.
Awesome. To light this shit up. Glad to have you on, man. For those who don't know you, I did a little bit of intro before the show, but I mean, right now you're killing it and doing really well as far as the podcast is concerned. But I want to take you back, like what was little John Lee Dumas like? Like, what was it growing up? Is it silver spoon in the mouth, everything just easy breezy? Did you grow up in a trailer? Like, what was it like, man?
Yeah, interesting question. And what's actually kind of fitting about your question is I am on vacation right now. I live in San Diego, but I'm back in Maine visiting family, and
cool.
We're conducting this interview in the room that I grew up in. So that's pretty great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I got the hat, I got the tank top. I'm about to go hit the lake after this chat. So really small town, less than 2,000 people, very country. I went to a high school that was made up of 6 towns into one high school. So you can only imagine that was just kind of a very out there, random, small country town.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a small town lawyer. So, he was always able to provide well for the family, but it was very underassuming, such Yankee roots, so frugal. I mean,
I'm from Connecticut, dude. So
yeah, I mean, he wouldn't spend, $1 more than he had to on anything. So I grew up really with a great understanding of the value of $1. That's one thing I'll definitely give my parents.
Sure.
They really hammered that into me early. And so then when I left for college, because of that understanding, I was terrified of debts. Like I also was growing up terrified of debt. So, I, in a sense, signed my life away for an Army scholarship. And that Army scholarship, ensured that I went to school for free. But it also ensured that I spent the next 8 years of my life as an officer in the U.S. Army, which happened. And that included a 13-month tour of duty in Iraq. So like real deal Holyfield type stuff. And that was pretty intense. But
what did you want to do prior to that though? Like when you were like growing up, did you want to go into the Army? What did you want to do? No? Didn't
have any aspirations for the Army really until I was 17. And I said, man, I really want to not have college debt. That was my big motivator. I wish there was more patriotic undertones there, but there weren't.
Sure. Honest, you still served.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, honestly, it was pretty standard for a kid. I was the shortstop on my baseball team, and Spike Owen for the Red Sox was my hero growing up. And he batted like 231, and I'm like, if Spike Owen can be in the MLB batting 231, I can too. So, I wanted to be in the major leagues, and that was what I wanted growing up. And I kind of went to college clueless about what I wanted to be, because I knew the Army was going to have me for a while. So I never really dreamed the dreams.
What did you go to school for?
Really just Army. I mean, I chose the easiest major I could find, which was called American History.
Okay.
Because I knew that it didn't matter because, the next 8 years post college wasn't going to have anything to do with my major.
Yeah. Nice. So no real like big dreams or visions or aspirations at the time.
No, it's interesting. Like I talk to like Gary Vaynerchuk and to Tim Ferriss, and I pull their stories out, and it's always fascinating because when they had these big dreams and big aspirations when they were little, and Gary was making $2,000 a weekend selling baseball cards.
Right.
And I was lazy. Like I wanted to do as little as possible to get. I had, like I mowed my neighbor's lawn, and, the neighbor on the other side was like, hey, John, can you mow my lawn too? And I'm like, no, because I get $20 per week to mow this neighbor's lawn. Right. That's all the money that I need in high school.
I'm good. Yeah,
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, bank account, schmank account, like $20. I'm going to the movies. I'm playing video games. I'm done.
So,
And I had no aspirations. And I think, and I hope that that's actually kind of a relief for some people that are listening and viewing this right now, because a lot of people think, man, I just wasn't born an entrepreneur.
yeah,
Like I didn't have that.
yeah, we assume you're just always driven, always on fire, right? I mean, the show is about people who have gone from from surviving to thriving, from mess to success, and so I like to hear the raw real and know that, no, I was actually just a lazy kid. But I want to know though, like, has that served you now? Like that mentality, because you produce so much. And at the same time, it kind of looks like you're just chilling all the time. So be honest, like how do you do that level of productivity, but still, have the time freedom that you seem to have?
Yeah, because that was one of the biggest things that people told me when I had this vision of doing a 7-day-a-week show is, John, you are going to get burnt out.
Totally.
You're going to hit the wall. You're going to run out of guests. You're going to just run out of joy for what you do. And I knew all those things were possibilities. But the reality was I also knew that I'm very good with my on-off switch. Like when I'm on, like I am on. And for me, that's Tuesdays, Dallas. I'm doing 8 back-to-back interviews every single Tuesday. I wake up, it's like LeBron James on game day. Like I'm doing the chalk hands. I'm going like this. Like standing desk, I'm on my fatigue mat. I've got my water. I've got my coffee. I've got everything. My entire office is sealed, for sound. Like it is on.
Right.
And all day I'm just crushing it. You can't break into my veneer. And then, Wednesdays come, and honestly, it's the same thing. I'm doing interviews on other shows. I'm doing webinars. I'm doing this and that. Wednesdays are a very business and focused day. But Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, there is nothing on my calendar. You cannot get on my calendar on those days because I keep it open. Now I'm not working, but I'm working on my schedule. I'm taking walks along the beach, trying to think of that next idea. I'm reading a business book on my balcony, trying to, learn some things for my industry.
Yeah.
What's something
that you're reading now?
The book that I'm actually reading right now is called The Invisible Sales Machine by Ryan Deiss.
Okay.
Awesome book. It's actually a follow-up to the book I just read called .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. And those two books back to back have really been huge for me because they were holes in my business. Email marketing, systems, setup, like those things that I really could take to the next level.
Sure.
Those books have helped me do that. So they've been that right.
Yeah, well, both of those guys are beasts. I mean, just amazing. Yeah, and speaking of like unassuming, Russell Brunson is he's just the guy next door. He's so like when I met him, it was not what I expected at all. Really cool guy. So those are two killer books that you've read back to back that are filling gaps, and it's hard to believe that you have any gaps in your business. I mean, was it last month or the month prior? You had a $500,000 month.
Yeah, May 2015, 525K. That was our first month over $500,000. So that was a big milestone for us.
Huge. And so what do you see in the future to either maintain or move that trajectory? Yeah,
I'd say maintaining is probably a better word. Although what I think a lot of people think that maintaining means is just like continuing to do what you do. But the reality is that if you're not moving forward on some levels in this world as an entrepreneur, like you're actually stopped and stalled and even reversing a little bit because people are speeding by you left and right. But for me, maintaining is just kind of going back to the basics and really seeing what worked significantly well. And for us, that's delivering free, valuable, consistent content. And that's why in early 2015, I launched a free podcast course and I launched, my free webinar course because I wanted to bring even more valuable for free to Fire Nation, to our audience. And I doubled down on that. And that's what I see the future bringing too, is that kind of level of production. We have our revenue streams in place, and I'm not saying we're not going to add to that at some point, but right now I'm more concerned about the audience growth.
Sure, that's huge, and I will obviously make sure on the show that there's people have access to that. So, but I love that you come from that perspective. So, are things always gravy? Do you ever have like a shit day? Did things ever hit the fan? I mean, like, what's been like the lowest moment you've experienced in your career so far? And if there isn't any low moments, then good for you. But I'm just curious, like, when it gets tough, does it happen, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, and I like to actually say this too. We all love to like idolize like Richard Branson, et cetera. And I'm actually a big believer that like 99% of Richard Branson's life sucks. Like that's my impression. I might be wrong. It might be only 98%.
Totally.
But all we see is the 1 or 2%, We don't see the endless, meetings and flights where, you think it'd be awesome because he's on a private jet, but you're still stuck in a plane and you're still blah.
Right.
I mean, that's just the reality. And that's the reality for me too. I mean, a lot of people see the revenue and they see me keynoting in the Philippines and, traveling to Hong Kong, and all those things are awesome and cool. But at the same time, I mean, it's a grind. It's a day-to-day grind, getting up, knowing that I have 200 emails in my inbox that I got to get through, knowing that, I got to hit interviews, 6, 7, and 8 when, I'm kind of running out of steam a little bit. And that's just the reality of the world that I live in. And, so I definitely have days that are better than others and days that are much worse than others. And if I really had to point to like the lowest of the low, I'd have to go back a ways.
Okay.
But I would go back to the summer of 2012 because I had quit my job.
Mm-hmm.
I had hired a mentor. I had joined a very expensive mastermind. I had invested a ton of money. I left my job behind. I was all into this world of podcasting that everybody was saying, how the heck do you make money?
Right.
Or are you going to make money?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a great answer. And by the way, I didn't make any money for the next 9 months.
Right.
So that was interesting. And I woke up the day that I was supposed to launch on August 15th, terrified, petrified of launching, because I knew that as soon as I launched, one of two things were going to happen. I was either going to succeed or I was going to fail. And the fact that I wouldn't do either of those things by not launching was kind of appealing because at least I couldn't fail. As long as I didn't launch, I couldn't fail.
Yeah, I've stayed stuck in that space for quite some time before.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I've personally mentored 40 over the last 3 years, 40 podcasters. Every one of them's come up to that point. In Podcasters Paradise, where there's 2,500 members, I mean, you see it every single day.
Sure.
It's just a reality. And so I delayed my launch for 5 weeks, which was an eternity, because I had, all the interviews were ready. The website was up. Everything was ready to go.
Sure.
And it wasn't until my mentor finally said, John, I will fire you if you don't launch your podcast, that I finally got out and did it.
Nice. And that's one of the reasons why I love being a mentor and a coach, and why I, still have them and value them so much. Moments like that, like when the push comes to shove and you need that either foot in the ass or hand on the back, is like, just go get this done. So that's huge. And being that you are so on the go and busy, but, again, still able to enjoy your time freedom to, if you're not working, what do you enjoy doing? Like, I'm always curious about what people are passionate about outside of their work. Men define themselves just so much by their work, but what else do you do? What else do you do, man?
Yeah, I have one simple word for that. Like, my passion outside of my work, and it's nothing. And I'm not proud of it, and I'm not excited by that. And in fact, I'm disappointed by it. Like,
it's honest, dude.
But it is honest,
Yeah.
But it's a search for me. Like, I'm trying to find that passionate thing outside of work right now, because I think it is so important for all those reasons you mentioned. Like, I live on a beautiful bay in San Diego. And so I got this great stand-up paddleboard. I'm like, I'm going to become a stand-up paddleboarder. And I got out there a few times and I'm like, this is boring, and then I live by the ocean and I'm like, I'm going to go surfing. And so I got a surfboard and a wetsuit and I went surfing and I'm like, this is boring too. And I'm honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm enjoying something that I'm not. And,
Sure.
I went to CrossFit and I'm like, this is just not really for me either. So, I have my little things like, I do my power walks in the morning, and I'm really doubling down on learning about fitness. So as well as reading those business books, I'm also reading
Sure.
some books on that I'm really enjoying, and really getting my mindset squared away about health and wellness and fitness and nutrition. And
Nice.
that's become a passion of mine. If I had to point to anything, I'd say that my newfound interest in learning about, the damage I've done to my body over the past 35 years, and how I can start to unwind that on some levels.
Sure.
That's turned into kind of a passion.
Got it. Yeah. So kind of trying to reverse what Johnny Walker's done.
While still drinking Johnny Walker. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. I always say everything in moderation, including moderation.
Even moderation.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's on the horizon for you? I mean, you mentioned you take these walks, you create space so you can have the creativity and keep going. It sounds like searching for a passion. What about searching for a woman? You in a relationship?
I am. The great Kate Erickson, who is a partner in the business.
Yeah, awesome.
She's a partner in both business and life. We've been together now for 3.5 years. We've been living together for most of that time as well, and it's a great relationship, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so is that challenging to be in business with somebody that you're also working with and you're working with and living with? I mean,
it is challenging, and it's something that we have to just consistently work at. We work in different offices, and there's times that full work hour days go by where we don't see each other, except for like kind of passing in the kitchen, filling up our water bottles.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's good.
That's fine.
Right? It creates the space so you can, you're not like here the whole damn time.
Which, by the way, at our previous place, which was just a 1-bedroom, we shared a desk, and that was that got we got to a point where we're both like, okay, our next place is going to be a 2-bedroom.
If I have to see your face for one more minute. So tell me, like, is there anything that you're afraid of? Like, what do you fear? I mean, it seems like besides feeling like there's a passion kind of missing outside of work, right? It seems like, you've got a good relationship, business is killing it, you're spending time in Maine with the family. Is there anything that you're afraid of that really tests you, pushes the envelope?
Oh, well, something that does scare me just in general is losing passion for the journey that I'm on. And that has definitely not happened. I haven't seen a hint of that. But it scares me thinking of that potentially happening, because I'm a huge believer in that Earl Nightingale quote that both success and happiness is the gradual realization of a worthy ideal. And, right now I am gradually realizing a very worthy ideal, which is Entrepreneur on Fire, which is sharing, inspiration and motivation and assurance to entrepreneurs out there who feel alone, who need that kind of glimpse that it's okay to fail, that, it's okay to take a swing and to miss every now and then. And so that's been great for me. But, to lose that, would kind of be like a ship losing its rudder. And now it's just kind of listlessly kind of floating along there. And that is scary, because Entrepreneur on Fire has been a blessing for the past 3 years that has really been my rudder. And I don't, want to lose that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what do you do now in order to pump out this many shows? Like, I'm curious about the last thing I really want to know is like productivity. A lot of us, I actually spoke to Sean Stevenson yesterday, who was like, let me get this, let's be honest. I'm not actually a very productive person, but I get results. He's like, he's written a book, he speaks everywhere, he travels, he's, coaching. I mean, he seems like he's producing and he's very productive. For me, it feels the same way for you, all the shows that you're pumping out and level of success you reached in your business. What do you do to keep that going? Like, do you have like actual systems that you do, process, mindset? What is it?
For me, it's all about batching. I know when to turn on and then when to turn off.
So
And I think Sean's pretty key on that too. He's actually been a mentor to me before.
Oh, cool.
I hired him for a 3-month period and flew him out to San Diego, and he spent the weekend at my place, and we became great friends because of it. And that's one thing that he kind of walked away from me. He's just like you're so structured and regimented in your schedules. Like everything happens like when you want it to happen. And I know that was a lot of value that I gave to him. And he gave so much back to me as far as with the health and the fitness and the nutrition and the mental side of that, because that's really where I think one of my superhero strengths is saying, you know what, this is my schedule. I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm not going to get, pushed off. Like I'm going to do 8 interviews every Tuesday, come rain, come shine. I'm going to do a Podcaster's Paradise webinar twice a month. I'm going to do interviews on other shows every Wednesday. And I'm just consistent and I maintain it. And that's been, really one of my superhero strengths.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing this more and more and more, that with people that I interview and talk to, and even just having my own circle, and really even in my own experience, that the structure creates the freedom. Like really sticking to your guns and having a system in place and being true to that, it ends up creating success, consistency, and the freedom for you to go enjoy your life, which I'm going to go let you continue to do more of.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I appreciate you having you on the show, dude.
We've been just kicking back today, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Awesome. It's funny how fast this time went, man. I could have asked you probably 100 more questions, but I look forward to seeing you at the next event and whatever else that you're up to. What are you doing next? What do you want to tell the people about that you're doing next?
Well, I am pretty excited about the 2 free courses that, we just continue to get rave reviews from, freepodcastcourse.com, thewebinarcourse.com, just 2 completely free courses that teach you how to podcast, how to create and present webinars that converts. We're loving that. And if anybody wants to check out eofire.com, that's our headquarters. That's where all the magic happens. Awesome. And we have a lot of fun there. And of course the podcast Entrepreneur Fire is 7 days a week, and we just keep rocking it.
Cool. We'll make sure everyone watching has access to all of that, dude. Honored and grateful to have you on, brother. Keep on rocking. Enjoy your time in Maine, man.
Thanks, Dallas.
Peace.
You can find us at www.passionwarrior.com or email us at info@passionwarrior.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, passion_warrior, or find us on iTunes and YouTube at Passion Warrior TV.